Some children grow up learning how to speak their mind. Others learn something very different. They learn how to watch. They watch the way a door closes, the tone of a voice in the kitchen, the silence that suddenly fills the room. Because in their house, moods could change without warning. One small comment could start an argument. One wrong reaction could make things worse. So the child learns a quiet skill. They learn to read the room. And if you're someone who can instantly sense when something feels off, there's a chance you didn't learn that skill in a classroom. You learned it while trying to survive. Imagine a child sitting at the dinner table. The food is warm. Plates are set. But something feels strange. The parents aren't saying much. One of them sighs. The other taps their fork against the plate. To most people, it might look like nothing. But the child notices everything. The tension in someone's shoulders. The way a sentence ends too quickly. The slight change in someone's breathing. Before anyone says a word, the child already knows something is about to happen. And when the argument finally starts, it's not a surprise, because they saw it coming minutes ago. So they stay quiet, they make themselves smaller, they listen more carefully next time. Over time, this becomes second nature. They begin scanning every room they enter. Not consciously. Automatically. They notice facial expressions before words. They sense discomfort before anyone admits it. They feel tension that others completely miss. And people often say something strange to them. You're very perceptive. You notice everything. You're really good at reading people. But what looks like emotional intelligence on the outside sometimes began as a survival strategy, because when a child grows up in an environment where emotions are unpredictable, their brain adapts. It becomes an early warning system, not because the child wants to analyze everyone, but because knowing what's coming can feel safer than being surprised. If someone is about to get angry, maybe the child can soften their voice. If someone seems upset, maybe the child can avoid saying the wrong thing. If the room feels tense, maybe the safest thing is to stay quiet. Little by little, the child learns something powerful. Other people's emotions matter more than their own, so they start managing the atmosphere around them. They become careful with their words, careful with their reactions, careful with their presence. And eventually, something interesting happens. They become the person everyone says is easy to be around, the calm one, the understanding one, the one who always knows when something feels off. But very few people ask an important question. What did it cost them to become that person? Pause for a moment and think about this. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt tension, even though no one said anything? Have you ever sensed that someone was upset before they admitted it? Have you ever found yourself adjusting your behavior just to keep the peace? If so, you might recognize this pattern, because children who learn to read the room often grow into adults who are constantly monitoring the emotional temperature around them. They become hyper-aware, not just of words, but of pauses, eye contact, body language, tone shifts. It's like living with an invisible radar that never fully turns off, and this ability can look like a strength. In many ways, it is. These people tend to be deeply empathetic. They can sense when someone is struggling. They often know exactly what someone needs to hear. They are thoughtful, considerate, emotionally intelligent. But there's another side to it. Sometimes they become so focused on everyone else's emotions that they lose track of their own. They might hesitate to speak honestly if they think it will create tension. They might overthink small interactions. They might replay conversations in their head, wondering if they upset someone without realizing it. Because somewhere deep inside, their brain is still trying to prevent the same thing it feared as a child: conflict, rejection, emotional chaos. And the strange part is, many people who learn to read the room don't even realize they're doing it. It just feels normal. But every once in a while, something reveals it. Maybe a friend says, "You're overthinking this." Maybe someone tells them, "You don't have to worry about everyone else all the time." Maybe they notice they feel exhausted after social situations that seemed perfectly calm to everyone else. And that's when a realization starts forming. The skill they learned to survive is still running in the background, even when it's no longer necessary. Here's another moment worth reflecting on. Think back to when you were younger. Was there a time when you felt responsible for keeping the peace? Did you ever try to soften situations, smooth over tension, or say the right thing so things wouldn't escalate? Many children quietly take on this role, not because someone asks them to, but because they sense it's needed. They become the emotional observers, the silent stabilizers, and while other kids might focus on being carefree, these children are studying human behavior. They are learning what triggers people, what calms people, what makes situations worse. Years later, that same awareness can make them incredibly thoughtful adults, but it can also make them incredibly tired. Because constantly reading the room means constantly adjusting yourself. And here's the twist many people don't realize until much later in life. The ability to read the room isn't the problem, it's forgetting that you're allowed to exist in the room too. You're allowed to have needs, to take up space, to express emotions without calculating how everyone else might react. For someone who grew up watching every emotional signal, that can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable at first. But awareness can be both a gift and a weight. The same sensitivity that once helped you survive difficult environments can also help you build deeper, more meaningful connections. The difference is learning that you don't have to carry the emotional responsibility for everyone around you. You don't have to predict every reaction. You don't have to prevent every conflict. Sometimes a room can simply be a room, not a situation to manage, not a puzzle to solve, just a place where you are allowed to be yourself. And if you're someone who has spent years quietly reading people, noticing shifts others miss, sensing emotions before they're spoken, there's a good chance you developed that awareness for a reason. It wasn't weakness, it wasn't overthinking, it was your mind adapting, learning, protecting you in the best way it knew how. But now, as an adult, that same awareness can serve a different purpose, not just helping you understand others, but helping you understand yourself. Because the child who once learned to read the room also deserves to finally feel safe inside it.